'Tis a far better thing harder. Later! Oh my! Hurry up, before Polly sends the world spinning on its head. Pull yourself together, man. Don't lose your nerve on me now. What's wrong? Are you having second thoughts about helping me save the world? Click on the analyzer in Egbert's hand to figure out which specimen we want. When you think you have the right specimen, click on Egbert again to put the analyzer away. Then you can carry the specimen to the shrinking platform. You have to bring a specimen over to the shrink-o-matic before it can be turned on. Choose carefully. We can't shrink me down too many times without having to recharge the mountain, so we have to be picky. Maybe you should use the analyzer to be sure. Do you think that's the right specimen? If so, just click on the microscope on the floor. You should use Egbert's analyzer to find out about the specimens in the specimen case. When you think you know which specimen Polly hid the object in, hand the analyzer back to Egbert. You can then move the specimen over to the shrink-o-matic for some inner space exploration. Click on the microscope to shrink me down to size. We can then look for the object Polly hid inside the specimen you chose. If I know Egbert, he'll be more than happy to help you. Just click on any of the specimens with the analyzer, and he'll provide you with the data. This is Professor Sparks' masterpiece. Well, one of them anyway. He calls it the, something or other. We call it the shrink-o-matic. It can reduce anything or anyone to the size of a medium-large molecule with the help of my good friend Egbert. As you can see, Egbert is full of facts. He manages all the specimens in this place, and he's deeply attached to them. Anything you need to know about any of them, he can tell you. So we have to figure out which specimen Polly is talking about. That's where Egbert will come in handy. Use his analyzer to get information on any of the specimens and to help you determine which is the right one. When you think you know the right specimen, hand the analyzer back to Egbert. You can then move the specimen over to the shrink-o-matic. Once it's there, Egbert can shrink me to the size of a molecule. Then I can dive into the specimen and find what we're looking for. Here we are, back at the shrink-o-matic. I guess it's time for me to get small. The shrink-o-matic's dead. We've run out of power. Let's go downstairs to generate more. We can't run this thing without more power. Time to take a trip to the generator. Which specimen, Polly? Give us a hint. You're looking for an animal that moves by extending one part of its body. The rest catches up later. You're looking for an animal with claws that can lift heavy objects. Find the animal that suffocates its prey before swallowing it whole. Find the flower people like to eat. What's the plant that produces the state flower for Arizona? What specimen is used to make both a lead pencil and a diamond? Look for the specimen that uses its whiskers for smelling, tasting, and touching. Look for the specimen with eyeballs that move independently. Look for the loudest small creature on Earth. Which specimen has been known to grow 4.5 feet wide and weigh 500 pounds? Which specimen depends upon the wind for its survival? Find the hardest thing known to humans. Find the specimen that can grow a new tail if you cut it in half. Look for the specimen that created the Earth's supply of coal over 300 million years ago. Find the specimen that has been known to kill chickens. Look for the specimen that can contaminate the pigs we eat. Which moist and slimy edible animal moves by jumping? Look for the specimen that cleans its eyes with its long tongue. Which specimen sounds like something you could buy at a hardware store? Which specimen makes things float in the air? Which specimen can fly forwards, sideways, and backwards? Which specimen is the lightest thing on Earth? Sea slugs eat the stings of which specimen? Look for the specimen that the sea otter wraps himself in. Which specimen is still produced in 600 places on the Earth? Which specimen is made from the skeletons of dead creatures? Which specimen was once the color blue? Look for the specimen created by heating limestone. Which specimen grows on bread? Find the specimen that looks like a carpet. Which specimen changes appearance to impress females? Which specimen has 8 arms? What specimen found in the water is necessary for making fire? The male of which specimen is much more beautiful than the female? Which specimen is found in mosquito spit? Which specimen creates electricity when you put it under pressure? Which specimen has no ears and makes a rattle noise? Which specimen has 6 lips? Look for an animal that finds its way in the dark by listening to echoes. Which specimen is known for swimming upstream? Which specimen sounds like it belongs in the bank? Which specimen was made from recycled rocks? Find the specimen that waits for food to come its way. Which specimen sounds like it belongs in a salad? Which specimen sounds like something you write with? Which specimen lays eggs that look like ping pong balls? Find the specimen that is used to make pool tables. Which specimen looks like it came out of a shell? Find the specimen that's famous for being slow. Which specimen is the largest creature without a backbone? Look for the specimen whose arm grows back if it falls off. Look for the specimen that only eats liquids. Which specimen can live to a very old age? Find the specimen that forms a basket with its legs. Find the specimen that dances. The female version of which specimen does most of the hunting? Which specimen is dinner for the dragonfly? Which specimen do seagulls drop and crack open? Which specimen lays the world's largest egg? Can you find the specimen that turns its head practically all the way around? Find the small specimen with 2 antennae. Look, we're at the Shrink-O-Matic again. Now we're back at the Shrink-O-Matic. I suppose you should shrink me now. Well, time to shrink down to size. Here's Polly's hint. Remember Polly's hint. Don't forget Polly's hint. Okay, we didn't manage to find the clue in time. Click on the microscope to try again. Ran out of time. Click on the microscope to try again. This is hard, but I'm ready to try again if you are. Click on the microscope. I guess we chose the wrong specimen. Let's try again, and remember Polly's hint. I guess it's pretty clear that wasn't the right specimen. Concentrate on Polly's hint. I was sure we'd find the clue in that one. Let's go back over Polly's hint.
Ready, Botley? Hold on tight. It is some ride, I'm told. Bon voyage, Botley. That's French, you know. Happy trails. Greetings, human. Do you know what a molecule is? Well, it's one of the tiniest things around. Everything's made of them, one way or another, and it's impossible to see them with the naked eye. Oh, yes, so if you want to know about any of my wonderful specimens, just pick up this analyzer and click on it. But please don't hurt the specimens. So, do you want to know about something? Just let me know if you need any information about my darling specimens. I'm here to help if you need me.
This specimen moves one part of her body, and the rest of it automatically follows. Between you and me, I think Egbert has a crush on this specimen. He likes the way she moves around. Egbert is such an egghead. Once while he was studying his precious specimens, this animal picked him up with its claws and carried him halfway across the country. Egbert didn't even notice. My father had to send him a plane ticket home. This meat-eater suffocates its prey before swallowing it whole. And if you've ever seen Egbert eat dinner, you know exactly what I'm talking about. He's quite the slob. Ever wonder why Egbert has that flower sticking out of a hole in his head? It keeps the hot air from escaping. Speaking of flowers, find the flower that people like to eat. Every state has a state flower. See the flower on Eggdrop's head? That's the flower for the state of emergency. And there'll be an emergency if you don't find this. The plant that produces the state flower of Arizona. See that pencil behind Egbert's ear? This specimen was used to make both Egbert's pencil and a diamond wedding ring. Ever think of growing a mustache under your nose, Egbert? Oops, how could you? You don't have a nose. This specimen can grow whiskers, which it uses for smelling, tasting, and touching. I've got my eye on you, Egbert. In fact, I've got both my eyes on you. I wish I had a choice, but my eyes can't move independently of one another. This specimen can move its eyes in different directions at the same time. You know, people always tell me I ought to speak my mind more, that I'm too quiet. Since I'm pretty small, I see this specimen as a kind of role model. It's the loudest small animal in the world. This specimen has been known to grow 4.5 feet wide and weigh 500 pounds. That's bigger than Egbert's head. Egbert is so full of hot air, he couldn't survive without it. You know, this specimen depends upon the wind for its survival. Which specimen is the hardest thing known to humans? Don't say Egbert's head. That's made from tinfoil. I made a sandwich out of this animal specimen once. When I cut the sandwich in half, it grew a new tail. If I took this specimen and waited 300 million years, it would become a lump of coal. Then I would have a suitable Christmas present for Egbert. When Egbert gets hungry, he uses this specimen to hunt chickens. Watch out for Egbert. He's a mad scientist. He invented this specimen in order to contaminate the world's pork supply. Pardonnez-moi, Monsieur Egbert, but the moist and slimy specimen has jumped out of the frying pan. This specimen uses its long tongue to clean its eyes. Egbert, can I borrow it to clean my glasses? Egghead bought this specimen at the hardware store. When he tried to use it, he smashed his thumb. Egbert gets a rise out of this specimen. Thanks to this specimen, he's always walking on air. Egbert uses this specimen for all sorts of practical purposes, like airlifting injured hikers out of ravines, doing traffic reports for the radio. He just hovers over the freeways in this specimen. When Egbert is in the mood for a light snack, he couldn't do any better than this specimen. It's the lightest snack in the world. When this specimen stings, its poison is quite delicious. Egbert makes a special beauty wrap out of this specimen. He covers his entire body in it while he sleeps. This mountain is the only place on Earth special enough to create me. But this specimen is created all over the place. In fact, there are 600 places on Earth where this specimen is created. I love this specimen. It's made from the skeletons of dead robots. When Egbert feels sad, he looks to this specimen for advice. It was once blue, but got over it. Egbert created this specimen when he accidentally heated limestone. Egbert likes to spread this specimen on toast. Egbert's so cheap, he uses this specimen for a carpet. This specimen knows how to dress to impress the ladies. Egbert, maybe you should ask this specimen for fashion advice. Egbert always loses when he arm wrestles with this 8-armed specimen. Here's a brain buster that's bound to crack Egbert's egghead. Which specimen is found in water and is necessary for making fire? The male of this species is fond of getting done up in a beautiful and colorful feathery outfit. The female prefers a more subtle look. Egbert found this specimen when he was cleaning up the spit at the bottom of the mosquito cage. Put this specimen under pressure and it creates electricity. Put Egbert under pressure and he just starts to cry. Which specimen has no ears and plays with a rattle? Egbert hates to kiss this specimen because it takes too long. That's because this specimen has 6 lips. This animal uses echoes to find its way in the dark. I think that Egbert would find that useful because he's in the dark on so many things. Dopey Egbert likes to go canoeing upstream with this crazy specimen. They shoot the rapids the wrong way. Egbert's so dumb, he put this specimen in the bank. We're into recycling around here. This specimen was made from recycled rocks. Egbert was made out of recycled tin cans. This specimen is the opposite of Egbert. When Egbert sees food, he rushes at it. This specimen prefers that the food approaches it. This specimen makes a great salad. Before he got a pencil, Egghead used to have this specimen behind his ear. Egbert plays ping pong with the eggs laid by this specimen. Egbert uses this specimen as a pool table. He's a mean pool player. This specimen has had no trouble making friends ever since it came out of its shell. This specimen is even more famous for being slower than Egbert is. This specimen is the largest creature in the world without a backbone. Egbert also lacks a backbone. Egbert once arm wrestled this specimen and pulled one of its arms right off. Oh, thank goodness it grew back. Egbert once put this specimen on a liquid diet. This specimen is so old, Egbert sent it to an old age home. Which specimen forms a basket with its legs? Egbert uses the basket to collect more specimens. Egbert has been annoyed with this specimen lately. While he tries to work, this specimen plays loud music and dances the cha-cha. The female version of this specimen does most of the hunting. In fact, she particularly enjoys hunting robots. Egbert's dragonfly is constantly trying to eat this specimen. Seagulls hate these specimens. They're always dropping them on rocks. Sing us a song, Egbert. I'd like to see you beat the specimen's record for laying the world's largest egg. I once saw this specimen with its head twisted all the way around. What a hoot! I guess Egbert doesn't take very good care of his creatures. Egbert uses the antennae of this small specimen to get better reception on his television. Well, that'll come in handy when you go searching for the mission clue, because I miniaturized it and hid it inside one of those specimens. Well, too bad there's no clue here, Grotley. But I guess that will come in handy if you need some extra invention points, because I miniaturized a few and hid them inside one of those specimens. It's almost too easy. Okay, Potley, okay. Anything to stop your whining. Can't get enough, can you, Snotley? Well, here's a hint if you're looking for more invention points. There is a mission clue hidden inside one of the specimens, Dotley, and it's your mission to figure out which one. So, here's your hint. Well, Clueless, you might as well know there's a mission clue hidden in one of the specimens. This hint should make it clear where it's hidden. Yeah, so I hid a mission clue in one of the specimens. Still, you'll never find it unless you can figure out this hint. I didn't hide a mission clue in here, just some spare invention points. If you can figure out which specimen they're in, they're yours. So, your hint is, don't bother looking for a mission clue because I didn't hide one here. But if you want some invention points, try to make sense of this hint. Look, I didn't hide a mission clue in there, okay? So don't bug me, unless you need some invention points. In that case, have I got a hint for you?
Amoeba. Amoebas are the smallest animals in the world. The human body is made up of billions and billions of cells. The amoeba is so small, it only has one cell. Every time one part of the amoeba moves, the rest of the cell automatically follows. Bald eagle. This noble-looking bird of prey is the national symbol of the United States. The bald eagle is not really bald, but only looks bald from a distance. A bald eagle can nab heavy prey with its large and pointy claws. Boa constrictor. The boa constrictor is a long snake that suffocates its prey. It wraps its long body around a small animal and squeezes the breath out of it. Then it begins the slow process of eating the prey whole. Broccoli. This green vegetable is actually a flower. The little green tufts people eat for dinner are the flowering parts of the broccoli plant. Most people don't realize that when they are eating broccoli, they are eating flowers. Oh my! Cactus. This hardy desert plant can be found in many varieties throughout Southwest America. The cactus is so common in the state of Arizona, they used a cactus flower as their state flower. Carbon. The Earth's rocks are made of minerals, and minerals are made of elements. Carbon is the most common element, and it's also the most remarkable one. Carbon is used to make both lead pencils as well as diamonds. Caterpillar. Caterpillars are hairy and worm-like. They shed their skin 4 times. That's when the big change occurs. The caterpillar grows up to become a butterfly or moth. Catfish. Catfish live in muddy water. They like to eat at night. Catfish use their whiskers to smell, taste, and touch their way around the murky water. Dear. Chameleon. A chameleon is a small lizard. It can change the color of its skin to match its surroundings. It can also keep an eye on 2 places at the same time because a chameleon can move its eyes in 2 different directions. Cicada. A cicada is a small insect with a hard shell. Cicadas chirp extremely loudly. A group of hard-shelled cicadas in a tree can make as much noise as a rock band. In proportion to its size, the cicada is the loudest animal on Earth. Clam. A clam is a mollusk. That means it has a soft body surrounded by a hard shell. Most clams are small. However, the giant clam can grow to be 4.5 feet wide and weigh over 500 pounds. Oh my! Coral. Coral looks like colorful underwater rock. Coral is actually a living animal. Some coral, such as brain coral, gets its name from the way it looks. Colonies of coral make up beautiful reefs. Coral reefs are popular with scuba divers. Dandelion. Some people consider dandelions to be pesky weeds. Others eat dandelion leaves in salads. Dandelions are herbs with bright yellow flowers. The seeds grow hairs that catch the wind. Dandelions depend on the wind to scatter their seeds. Diamond. Diamonds are precious gemstones. Jewelers cut diamonds into shiny shapes. In order to cut a diamond, you have to use another diamond. That's because the diamond is the hardest thing on Earth. Earthworm. Earthworms live underground and eat soil. They range in size from 1 inch to 11 feet. If you cut an earthworm in half, the half with the head doesn't die. It grows another tail that's as good as new. Fern. The small green leaves of ferns spread out from the center of the plant on triangular branches called fronds. 300 million years ago, ferns were the Earth's dominant plant life. As ferns decayed, they created much of the Earth's supply of coal. Fir tree. A fir tree is an evergreen tree. Its leaves never change color and fall off. The pine cones of the fir tree contain the seeds that produce new fir trees. Fire ant. Fire ants are poisonous. These red-colored insects live on other insects, although they have been known to kill the occasional chicken. Fire ants will sting humans if they get stepped on. Tapeworm. Tapeworms are long, flat worms that live inside other animals. The pork tapeworm hatches inside pigs. If a person eats uncooked pork, the tapeworm can end up in his intestines, where it can grow to over 30 feet. Oh my! Frog. What's the difference between a frog and a toad? Frogs are moist and slimy jumpers. Toads are dry and warty walkers. In France, frog legs are considered the ultimate in fine dining. Gecko. Animals have eyelids to protect and clean the eye. The gecko is a foot-long climbing lizard that has no eyelids. When the gecko's eyes get dusty, it wipes them clean with its long tongue. Granite. Granite is a beautiful hard rock. It can be white, gray, or pink. Some of the most important buildings in the world are made with granite. Hammerhead shark. A hammerhead shark can't be found at the hardware store. It's a ferocious ocean predator. The hammerhead shark cannot see straight forward. Its eyes are located at opposite ends of its hammer-shaped head. Helium. The element helium is a gas. It makes balloons float into the sky because it is lighter than the air around it. Hummingbird. The hummingbird is one of the smallest birds in the world. It gets its name from the sound its wings make when it flies. It's the only bird in the world that can fly forwards, sideways, and backwards like a helicopter. Hydrogen. The element hydrogen is so powerful, it powers our sun. Yet hydrogen is 15 times lighter than air. Nothing in the world is lighter than hydrogen. Jellyfish. Jellyfish have soft bodies with long tentacles. The tentacles of a jellyfish contain a powerful poison that stings and paralyzes its prey. Sea slugs absorb jellyfish poison and use it to protect themselves against their enemies. Kelp. Kelp is a sea plant that can grow to be 100 feet long. When sea otters go to sleep, they wrap themselves in kelp to stop themselves from floating away. Lava rock. Lava is the red-hot molten rock that oozes out of the earth and becomes hard rock. There are currently 600 active volcanoes on Earth that are capable of producing lava rock. Lemon. The lemon is a citrus fruit that's rich in vitamin C. In Italy and America, lemon juice is mixed with sugar and served up as lemonade. Limestone. Chalk is a good example of the soft white rock called limestone. Limestone was formed from the skeletons of dead sea creatures. Lobster. Lobsters are crustaceans that live in the sea. A living lobster is bluish-black in color to blend in with the sea bottom. A lobster becomes red when it's cooked due to a chemical change in its shell. Marble. Marble is a hard, beautiful rock that formed when the Earth's crust moved beneath mountains. The massive movement squeezed and heated limestone and turned it into marble. Mold. Mold, like mushrooms, is a fungus. Blue-green mold is often seen growing on bread. From mold, we get one of the world's most important medicines, penicillin. Moss. Moss is a short green plant that grows everywhere. Moss grows on tree trunks, rocks, and moist ground. Moss is super soft and feels like a carpet when you walk on it. Newt. Newts are small salamanders that are born in water and live their lives on land. When it's time to mate, the male newt becomes brighter and grows a crest of skin on its back to impress the female newt. Octopus. The octopus lives at the bottom of the sea. It uses its 8 tentacles to grab lobsters and crabs towards its horny mouth. The tentacles of an octopus have suckers that make it easier to hold prey. Oxygen. This is the Earth's most common element. All water, including the oceans, has oxygen in it. Believe it or not, oxygen is also necessary for burning fires. Peacock. A peacock is a large, brightly colored bird. When a peacock spreads its tail feathers, it's showing off its bright purple, blue, and gold colors. Male peacocks are much more beautiful than female peacocks. Protozoan. There are 50,000 kinds of tiny single-celled protozoans. A deadly protozoan lives in the saliva of certain mosquitoes. When the infected mosquito bites a human, it passes the protozoan into the person's bloodstream and causes disease. Oh dear. Quartz. Quartz is a clear, glassy crystal rock. It's used in computer chips and watches. Put it under pressure, and quartz emits electricity. Rattlesnake. The rattlesnake gets its name from the scary noise it makes with its tail when frightened. The strange thing about rattlesnakes is that they can't hear their own rattle. Rattlesnakes are deaf. Dear. Roundworm. Roundworms are simple worms with long, thin bodies. They live in watery environments, even though they don't know how to swim. Most roundworms have 6 lips. Bat. Bats are flying mammals that only come out at night. To find its way in the dark, a bat makes a high-pitched squeak. It then listens to the echoes of the squeak bounce off the surroundings. These sound pictures show the way. Salmon. The salmon is an amazing fish. When it's time to breed, the salmon swims upstream to the place where it was born. Shooting the rapids the wrong way tires the salmon out. As soon as it breeds, it dies from exhaustion. Sand dollar. This specimen can't be found in the bank. A sand dollar is a flat, spineless creature that lives in the sand in shallow waters. Sandstone. When grains of sand come together and become hard rock, it's called sandstone. Since grains of sand are tiny pieces of larger rocks, think of sandstone as a recycled rock. Sea anemone. The simple sea anemone looks just like a flower. If an unsuspecting fish brushes up next to it, a sea anemone paralyzes it with poison. The sea anemone never hunts. It waits for food to come its way. Sea lettuce. Sea lettuce sounds like it belongs in a salad, but you wouldn't want to eat it. Sea lettuce is a green algae in the shape of lettuce. It floats on the surface of the sea. Sea pen. The sea pen looks like an old-fashioned feathery quill pen. A sea pen is a type of coral with a soft body. It's very colorful and gives off light if a creature brushes against it. Sea turtle. Sea turtles live in warm ocean water. Since they don't have teeth, they swallow food whole. Sea turtle eggs look exactly like ping-pong balls. Slate. Slate is a rock that easily splits into thin, even sheets. If you were able to see under the green felt on a pool table, you would see that the table is made from a slab of slate. Slug. A slug looks like a snail that came out of its shell. Because it lacks a shell, a slug is easy pickings by its enemies. Snail. The snail has a soft body with a protective shell. Although snails are fascinating creatures in a number of ways, they are most famous for being slow-moving. Sponge. All around the world, natural sponges are used for cleaning houses. A sponge is a simple animal that lives in the ocean. It catches food in special pockets located throughout its body. Squid. A squid is a 10-armed underwater creature similar to the 8-armed octopus. It's called an invertebrate because it doesn't have a backbone. The giant squid is the world's largest invertebrate. Starfish. The starfish crawls at the bottom of the seafloor with its 5 arms. If a starfish loses its arm, it can grow a new one. The stink bug is an insect in the shape of a shield. When a stink bug is disturbed, it emits a foul odor. That's how it gets its name. Of course. Sunflower. The sunflower is a tall yellow flower that looks like a blazing sun. It can grow as high as 7 feet. Sunflower seeds are delicious to eat. Tadpole. Tadpoles are baby frogs. Unlike frogs, they live totally underwater. They have gills for breathing and tails. Tarantula. Tarantulas are huge and hairy. Tarantulas have fangs, but they don't use them to chew. Like all spiders, the tarantula puts venom in its victims and then sucks the liquid out of its body. Toadstool. Toadstools look like mushrooms. Scientists used to call toadstools plants. Since toadstools don't make their own food through photosynthesis, they are no longer considered plants. They're a cross between plants and animals. Tortoise. Turtles and tortoises are the only reptiles with shells. The tortoise lives on land. It lives a long life, sometimes up to 150 years. Truffle. A truffle is an underground fungus like a mushroom. Special pigs and dogs are trained to sniff out truffles. Truffles are very expensive, and people love to eat them. Tulip. Tulips are popular flowers. They grow from underground bulbs in a variety of bright colors. Tulips are easy to spot. They look like little cups. Weevil. Weevil rhymes with evil, and that's what many people think it is. Weevils are beetles that eat plants, seeds, and wood. Farmers dislike them because they can destroy whole crops of cotton and wheat. Wheat. Wheat is a type of grass. Wheat is ground up in a mill where it becomes flour. Flour is used to make breads and pasta. Yeast. People are organisms with billions and billions of cells. Yeast has only one cell. Yeast is used for making bread, beer, and wine. It's also responsible for an itchy condition known as athlete's foot. Coyote. Coyotes are prairie wolves that roam wild in much of the United States. A coyote looks like a dog with a pointed nose and black-tipped bushy tail. Native Americans thought coyotes had magical powers. Dragonfly. The scary-looking dragonfly is a perfectly harmless flying insect. It helps humans by eating mosquitoes and other pests. As soon as a dragonfly spots a mosquito, it creates a basket with its legs and scoops it up mid-flight. Honeybee. Bees are flying insects that live in colonies called hives. Worker bees perform an elaborate dance on the honeycomb to tell the other bees where the flowers with the best nectar can be found. They collect the nectar to make honey. Ladybug. Ladybugs are beautiful insects related to the beetle. Ladybugs eat tiny insects called aphids. Ladybugs hibernate in the winter and come back to life when the weather warms up. Lion. Lions are the only wildcats that hunt in groups. Since the female is more sleek and streamlined than the male, she does most of the hunting. Mosquito. Mosquitoes are flying insects with long legs. Female mosquitoes eat the blood of mammals. They are so light you can't feel them on your skin until they bite. Dragonflies eat mosquitoes and help keep these pesky creatures under control. Mussels. Mussels are dark shellfish that live in shallow water. Seagulls pick them up in their claws and drop them on rocks. That's how they crack the shell open to eat the soft insides of the mussel. Ostrich. Ostriches are the world's biggest birds. They can't fly, but they can run as fast as a galloping horse. Ostriches lay the world's largest eggs. Owl. Owls are birds of prey that hunt only at night. If an owl hears something going on behind it, it can turn its head all the way around to look. Owl feathers are so soft and fluffy, they are almost noiseless in flight. Shrimp. The shrimp is a small relative of the crab and lobster. We call these three sea animals crustaceans because they all have antennae. I don't have time for crushes. I'm entirely too busy for such humanoid distractions. Plane ticket. I floated home on my own. I was able to conduct some wind speed experiments. Alas, it's true. My schedule allows only for short refreshment breaks. Manners are a luxury I cannot afford. The flower makes me look rather stylish, don't you think? The state of emergency? That was more humor, wasn't it? My life is devoted to science. The pencil is by far the more valuable of the two. Not only do I not have a nose, but I also lack hair follicles. As a robot scientist, the only growing I see happens inside a petri dish. For a scientist, the ability to observe more than one thing at a time would be a dream come true. We all need role models. Mine is the NORAD computer. That baby can really process data. I appreciate the compliment, Polly, but in this age of microprocessors, size really doesn't matter. Actually, I can survive without oxygen quite nicely. Another advantage to being a robot. I'll have you know that I'm made from the highest grade aluminum alloy. Please, kindly don't joke about hurting my pretties. I would be delighted to receive such a gift. I have many carbon-based experiments I've been itching to perform. Like all scientists, I am a gatherer, not a hunter. Trust me, Miss Polly is the mad one. Oh dear, she's cooking my specimens again. Certainly not. With this specimen, a smashed thumb would be the least of my worries. Walking on air, it would be unprofessional to indulge in such shenanigans. Egbert floats. This specimen is entirely too small to be capable of any of those things. You are thinking of a helicopter, and indeed, this specimen can fly forwards, backwards, and sideways just like a helicopter. Frankly, this specimen would not make much of a snack, as it's the lightest thing on Earth. Only sea slugs eat the stings of this specimen. I wouldn't recommend that anyone else try it. Robot scientists do not sleep, and besides, I'm quite beautiful as is. It's the sea otter that wraps himself in this specimen. Given the enormous size of the Earth, the fact that this specimen is only created in 600 places makes it almost as unusual as you, Polly. An interesting, albeit incorrect concept. Technically speaking, robots never die. They just become obsolete. I think this specimen would rather stay blue, given the alternative. Many of the world's great inventions were the results of happy accidents. However, I can't claim credit for creating this specimen. I don't spread this specimen on bread, but somehow it always manages to appear there anyway. Carpet has no place in a laboratory. It's simply not sterile. A lab coat is the only fashion accessory I require. I don't wrestle with my lovelies. What a clever question, seemingly contradictory yet true. Isn't science fun? I don't believe preference plays into it. These specimens are simply born with the attributes you mention. I don't put my lovelies in cages. My mosquito gets to roam free as a bird. I am not equipped with tear ducts, therefore I cannot cry. When this specimen uses its rattle, I'm afraid it's not playing. I hug and kiss all of my pretties. It's part of my kinder, gentler approach to science. In the dark? Oh, by that you mean I am unaware of certain things. I'm still trying to grasp this human concept called humor. Actually, I avoid the water for fear of rust. That was a long time ago. I was still unfamiliar with your system of currency. I wear my recyclable symbol like a badge of honor. I have so little time to eat, I prefer to do it as quickly as possible. I spend half my time keeping my lovelies off Polly's dinner table. I would never remove my pretties from the curiosity cabinet for my own personal use. What? Harm my baby's babies? Perish the thought. I only use billiards as an entertaining way to stay on top of my physics and geometry. No harm in that. Actually, this specimen only resembles a creature that lives in a shell. I'm not slow. I'm thorough. It's true. Robots have different structural components. We have no need of a backbone. I have no muscles. How could I win in arm wrestling? I had no choice. This specimen is incapable of chewing. I actually have a very nice retirement community here for my more elderly specimens. Goodness, what a thought! I only use the most sterile collection devices when gathering my specimens. Basket, indeed. I would never be annoyed with any of my darling specimens, and while it may indeed dance, this specimen has never exposed me to loud music. That's not true. Robots have no natural enemies. She's right about that, I'm afraid. I have to keep them separated. You have their intentions all wrong. Seagulls actually love these specimens as a source of food. Laying an egg is a human expression implying embarrassing failure. Polly is trying to insult me. Duly noted. Every specimen in my charge receives the best possible care. As a matter of fact, this particular specimen regularly turns its head around when searching for prey. Actually, I have a satellite dish.